Let's talk about Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. I got this team completely wrong. I thought they're going to turn a corner and that they would go on and reach their full potential, but they haven't done that at all this season. This has been one of the most disappointing and confusing seasons for the Seattle Seahawks in quite some time. And they have a lot of things that's going wrong with this team. And it's not Geno Smith. Geno Smith was very good last season. He came out and he proved a lot of people wrong. And he hasn't had that same season this season, but he's not the reason that they are not in a good situation. You look at the Seattle Seahawks this season. They're 26th in total defense and 29th in rushing defense. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of their defensive coordinator, Clint. I believe that he should have been fired last season. But they went out. They did a lot of moves. They drafted Devin Witherspoon in the first round. You acquired Leonard Williams by trade from the New York Giants. And for a couple games, their defense did look good. It looked better. But it's the same thing that happened last season. If you go back to last season where their offense was high-powered and they were getting things done, their defense was letting them down. And at the halfway point in their season, their defense got better, but it still was not very good. Same thing that happened this season. Their offense got off to a slow start against the Los Angeles Rams in week 1 because both of the tackles went down, Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. And Abraham Lucas missed a lot this season, dealing with a knee injury. And the games they lost against the Los Angeles Rams definitely hurt this team. I will say this about the Seahawks moving forward. You have bigger problems besides Geno Smith. Way bigger problems. Geno Smith may not be that franchise quarterback that this team needs long term. And I don't believe that he is. I think that he's a very good quarterback. But you need to fix this defense. You need to fire Clint after this season for sure. But it also starts off with Pete Carroll. I'm not saying that Pete Carroll is a horrible head coach because I don't think that he is. I think that he's a solid head coach at this stage of his career. He gives off a lot of energy. He does a lot of good things. But it's the lack of adjustments in game with this defense. When they acquired Leonard Williams from the New York Giants, look at how Wink Martindale was using him. He switched him around the field. He just wasn't in the interior of the defensive line for the entire game. He played edge. He played inside the defensive line. He was splitting double teams to open up things for everyone else on the New York Giants defensive line. He hasn't been able to do that with the Seattle Seahawks this season because they don't use him and maneuver him around. And Bobby Wagner, in my opinion, has been a very good, solid linebacker with this team. And coverage, not so much, but he's been a very good tackler with this team. I do think that Bobby Wagner has been good this season. I know a lot of people are down on him because he's on the back half of his career, but he isn't a big problem with this team either. It's the defensive line with this team because last season they couldn't get pass rush. And I do believe that with them missing woes, that's a big part of why they can't get things going as well. Because last season, he led the team in sacks with Darrell Taylor. But you look at him this season, Boye Mafe has come in. He's done a lot of good this season with this team. And you have guys in the secondary that haven't stepped up either. Quandre Diggs, for his entire tenure with the Seattle Seahawks, has been a very good safety and has been taking the ball away. This season, not as much. This has been the worst season of his career. And you look at Jamal Adams. Don't get me started. Jamal Adams, they need to move off of him after this season. I know a lot of people say, hey, it's the injuries. That's part of it. He can't stay healthy. He misses a lot of games, and he's a liability in coverage. And he's not that strong tackling safety that he once was a couple years ago when this team first got him and when he was with the New York Jets. Injuries have robbed him a lot with speed and his explosiveness. He's not the same safety anymore. And when you say, well, he can blitz off the edge. No, he can't. Not to the same degree. Look at what happened in the Dallas Cowboys game. He was getting cleaned up. He doesn't have that same speed anymore. And he is horrendous in coverage. He has given up 290 passing yards this season, and he hasn't even played a full season. And he's given up 2 receiving touchdowns as well in crucial moments. Look at what happened against the San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel ran right past him, blew him by 10 to 15 yards down the field. Jake Ferguson made him look stupid against the Dallas Cowboys. And speaking of that Dallas Cowboys game, the Seattle Seahawks should have won that game because a lot of the penalties were not actual penalties that happened in that game. The referees basically took it from them. So that was one game that could have went into their pocket. But a lot of the wounds that they have are self-inflicted. They went 7 straight quarters this season without scoring an offensive touchdown. And I was a fool to it because they'll come out one week, they don't look good. And the next week, Geno Smith is getting the football. DK Metcalf is getting the ball to Jackson Smith the Jigba. He's getting things going. They have suffered a lot of injuries this season, but the coaching staff has let them down a lot. From the offensive coordinator position, definitely to the defensive coordinator position as well. So they need to fix those things as they head into this offseason. If they make the playoffs or not, even if they do make the playoffs, it's going to be hard for this team to make a deep playoff run because they cannot stop the run game from anyone. You look at Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, I could have sworn Jerome Bettis was on the field by how both of those guys are running. Every single week, they're giving up a lot of rushing yards, and that puts a lot of pressure on the offense because you can just run the ball out against the Seattle Seahawks. You can just run the timeout. And when the offense has to come out, they had to play catch up. And basically what's going on there, you had to win shootouts, similar to how things were last season. And with Geno Smith not looking as strong this season, you're in a bad situation. He has 18 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Compared to last season, he had 30 passing touchdowns. And he did miss some time this season dealing with an arm injury. And the offensive line was still not up to standard. So he does get a pass in terms of not getting enough protection up front. But Geno Smith has taken a step back with overall play. DK Metcalf is still one of the best wide receivers in the game. I love Tyler Lockett. He's been making plays with this team since he's been drafted with this team. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has been a very good rookie wide receiver with this team as well. And I do question that draft pick. Even though the Jackson Smith-Njigba is good and they basically drafted him to say, hey, when Tyler Lockett leaves or when he slows down, that's going to be the replacement. You could have used that pick on an extra defensive lineman or an extra defensive player to come in and help you. But I also believe that a lot of rushing woes are coming from the schematics of Pete Carroll and from the defensive coordinator Clint as well. Because at the end of the day, Pete Carroll has a huge saying on what goes on with this defense, even though he's not the main defensive play caller. Jordan Brooks is a very good player with this team as well. Has dealt with some injuries, but he's been the best tackling linebacker on this team for the last couple of years. Draymond Jones hasn't had that high sack production season, only 4.5 sacks, but he has good potential with this team as well. It's just unfortunate to see where this team was last season when they had all those draft picks from the Denver Broncos. They have pretty much cashed in all those picks right now. And you look at what happened a couple weeks ago when they put Julian Love in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. He looked phenomenal. He's a better cover safety than Jamal Adams. I also believe this as well with Pete Carroll. He tried to basically go out and recreate the Legion of Boom. That's not going to happen in today's NFL. That's an outdated type of defensive play call that he's going for, in my opinion. Because when you really think about it, Earl Thomas was the cover safety, got things going in over top, and let Cam Chancellor roll him around and just hit people. And he was a major part of that defense as well. Look at Quandre Diggs. He is basically playing the Earl Thomas role, the all-cover safety, getting things over top. And when Jamal Adams was up for trade, Pete Carroll was licking his chops saying, hey, that could be my Cam Chancellor 2.0, a guy that hits hard, isn't that strong in coverage, but hey, he can stop the run, hit hard, he can cause some fumbles, and he can cause a distraction to the quarterback so other guys can eat. And then you draft Tariq Woolen, the big, fast corner, and you also go out there and get Devin Witherspoon, a strong corner that can cover and that can also make plays in space as well, who will be a superstar corner with this team long-term. It seems like he tried to go out there and recreate that Legion of Boom defense, but that's not going to happen. You had a generational team, and you did win one Super Bowl with it. You should have won 2 Super Bowls with it if you would have went out and just ran the football. But that didn't happen. And I do feel like that mistake has casted a shadow over this team as well. They haven't had that much playoff success in the last couple of years, even when Russell Wilson was with this team. It may be time to actually question Pete Carroll moving forward. I like him as a coach. I just don't know if he fits the modern day NFL and where this Seattle Seahawks team should be going long term. That's just how I feel about it. But let me know in the comment section below, what should the Seattle Seahawks do moving forward? And can this team still make the NFL playoffs? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.